Hello, I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you so much for being here. I'm truly honored to share this space with you. I know there's a lot that you could choose from, and the fact that you're here really means a lot to me. And it's a gift to you too, because we have the glorious Emma Timms today. And we talk about, well, first of all, when we finished our conversation, I was like floored with just her extraordinary presence. I just kept hearing extraordinary. And she was like, I'm ordinary. Like, no, you are extraordinary. The way she lives her life with just intentional service and care and presence with her family and those that she's in community with just felt very humbled and grateful for social media, actually, because we connected over social media and we otherwise wouldn't have met because she lives on the east coast of Scotland. I am in Minnesota over here in the United States, and we just had this lovely connection. And she's encouraged me throughout the creation of the Jesus Energy podcast. And I've been so delighted to read her new book, Faith Habits and How to Form Them. And in this conversation, we get to talk about faith habits and how to form them. But the best part is, it is in the most authentic way that is in alignment with our lives, not forcing things to happen, but being realistic about where we are in life, having compassion on ourselves, and just moving with grace. Emma is filled with grace and like just this ease about her and is so real about living out an authentic faith that meets us where we are in the here and now. She is extremely lovely and offers so many practical tips on deepening our connection with God. And I hope that you stick through to the end of this podcast where she leads us through a lovely and peace-filled healing practice. And we get into some conversations about, I guess you could call them mystical experiences, but really just like these little moments of synchronicity that feel like our eyes are open to God that is always with us. We talk a lot about seeing the presence of God in our everyday lives and healing experiences that are held in tenderness and also just like a sense of, keep wanting to say reality. But we do talk about some pretty extraordinary healing experiences that she's moved through in her life and how God has met her in that way. And just a really, really delightful conversation that I felt so grateful to have. And I'm so, so grateful that you are here. Friends, this is for those of us that long to move into a more experiential way of experiencing Christianity, for those of us that long to be spiritually expansive and curious and also rooted into our love and relationship with Jesus, for anyone that longs to feel more alive in their body and maybe create some more heaven on earth. You are a gift to the world. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Your very presence impacts those around you, and your breath just sends a wave of love throughout the world just by being you, just by showing up. I sincerely mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you know that in your bones today. And I know that this conversation will bless you. Emma is a gem. Her book, Faith Habits and How to Form Them, is beautiful. And my intention is, I hope this guides us into a realistic and lovely and life-giving season of experiencing more of the awareness of the truth that God is with us in this moment. Have a good day, friends. Let's do it. Yay! I'm so grateful to be here with the lovely Emma Timms. She is a retreat leader, a movement teacher, a spiritual director, and a lovely author, and just like all around really good-hearted human that I feel so just privileged and grateful to be here chatting with today. So thanks for being here, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
I would love to, well, first of all, so we like connected over social media, and you have been just this like lovely encouragement to me. And it's been, you have this really, I have a feeling you're a very steadfast person. I don't know, you have this like steadfast, just like, I keep saying lovely, like you're just this breath of fresh air. So, yeah, I think you're pretty neat, and I'm glad that we connected. And congratulations on your book.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it just came out in America a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes, I have mine here. There it is. Yay. Cool. So yeah, I'd love to simply start out by hearing from your voice, who you are, what you're up to, anything from your mission and ministry in life to your favorite thing to do on an afternoon or a weekend. Yeah, I just want to hear about you.
Yeah. Well, if it was a Tuesday afternoon or a weekend and I had free time, my first dilemma would be which thing to pick. Because I identify as an Enneagram 7, so I'd be like, "Do I rest?
Yeah,
Do I have a bath? Do I go for a walk? Do I see a friend? Do I be on my own? Do I read a book? Do I" like, I would just
yeah.
all the things. But really anything around nature and family and spiritual practice is kind of like my favorite things to do.
Oh, I love that. And what is your ministry, your mission? What keeps you going in that way?
I was thinking about this the other day. I have 5 jobs, which is a lot, and I don't work 5 jobs and 4 kids, and I don't work full time by any means, but essentially I hold space for people in all different ways, and that takes on a
Mm,
lot of different faces. So I lead retreats. That's obviously a little bit more infrequently, so maybe a couple of times a year. I teach Pilates and yoga in person. I'm spiritual director and personal trainer, and I do a little bit less of that. And then I lead an online community called the Prayer Orchard, which is kind of at where everything can come together a little bit. So
cool,
there's
yeah.
movement, there's spiritual practice, there's contemplation, relaxation, and journaling practice. And so, yeah, that can be done live or people can catch up online. So that's a really lovely way I can kind of bring all my things into a space. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, how did that first start? I actually don't really know the story of the prayer orchard.
Yeah, so it started really informally and kind of accidentally at the beginning of COVID when I lost a lot of my in-person teaching work because I couldn't
Mhm.
go to the studio. That was the rules in the UK was non-essential things were all kind of cancelled. And so I did a
Yeah.
bit online, but I did have more time. And so it was just a time where I thought, oh, it'd be really nice to integrate some grounding practice and prayer just with a little bit of movement as like kind of like a gift to people when they were stuck in their houses. And it's something I'd wanted to explore before, but this kind of gave me the catalyst and the time. So for 3 years, I was still doing it on a Tuesday morning and a Wednesday night and people would just drop in, give me like a little donation, a couple of pounds. And then I thought, I think I need to either stop this or formalize it a little bit. And so I went that route and learned how to build a website and just went for it. Yeah. So it
Cool.
kind of stayed the same, but it just was a little bit, formal membership.
Yeah, I love that. And can I ask what your spiritual direction practice is like? And I guess that's kind of, it's funny, like right away I feel like it gets me into your book a little bit too, because I'm with all of the things you have going, I'm like, how do you keep this space like organized, and how do you
Yeah.
keep it all moving?
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have a rhythm for offering spiritual direction,
Yeah, so
or
I am
how does
quite
that work for
yeah, I'm
you?
quite intentional about when I work. So I try and condense
Yeah.
it to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I do work quite a lot on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I find that that just kind of works around my family and my husband's work schedule. So basically on a Thursday, I'll normally see someone. So I have just 4 or 5 clients. It's my newest kind of string on my bow. So yeah, I've just taken on another course actually in spiritual conversation and I started 2 days
Cool.
ago. Uh,
Wow, what's that course?
yeah, so it's an Ignatian based course and it is literally about how to
Mm,
have spiritual conversations. So not as formal as the
beautiful.
spiritual direction, but just
Yeah.
yeah, and a growth in kind of your own journey and discernment and listening and Yeah, so I think it'll be really good. It's a lovely group that run it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you find that you need like, are you able to this is just my own out of pure curiosity, like, how much time do you need to prepare yourself for a spiritual direction session? And I think that question comes from, like well, I was telling you before we started, like, my son is recovering from a concussion, and we've had so many appointments and, like, how it's just and he's doing really well, and I'm so grateful that we're able to, like, treat him with all these great things and that he's healing and but just in terms of, like, this morning and this, like, last minute appointment and coming here, and I normally, like, really try to intend to, like, have a slow morning and make sure my dogs are walked before I am in this space. Like, I so desperately want to, like, honor this time with the person I'm in conversation with and be fully present and have had all my quiet time. And life happens. I have 3 kids, you have 4 kids, and, like, how do you manage that well? And what does your soul need to show up fully?
Do you know what I would love to say I have some sort of like Zen routine where like everything is
Yeah,
all tidy and I have time and light a candle and have all this space. But the
yeah,
reality is to keep all the pieces moving. I've accepted
yeah,
that it just has to be part of my life.
yeah,
So, like the prayer orchard for 5 years, 5.5 years, every morning, every Tuesday morning, 6 a.m., every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Sometimes, like, I'm up at, like, 5:56 for a 6 a.m.,
yeah,
and it just has to
yeah,
be because it's had to form part of my I'm
mhm,
basically inviting people on my journey, and it has to kind of blend, or I just wouldn't be able to do it. I would be
yeah,
frustrated at everyone. It wouldn't work. I don't have an office. We have just one space downstairs. Like now my kids are upstairs eating their dinner with my husband because
mm,
this is my reality, and I don't
yeah,
want my reality to be ever be a barrier to God
yeah,
and my work, but that does mean
wow,
that sometimes things are less than ideal.
yes,
But I find the more I accept that, the more it's actually okay. Like I work quite
yes,
well, kind of bouncing from thing to thing, and I think it's
wow,
all right, you know?
yeah,
So maybe not super spiritual, but honest.
yes. And that truthfully does like, I'm actually kind of blown away, like, that well, one note, I just appreciate that, and that's something that I'm really working on, and so it's funny that it's kind of happened this way here this week, just trying to challenge myself to authentically show up and, like, trust, without hours of silence. But also, this is in part how I take in your book. Like, it's about incorporating faith habits that are real, that are authentic, that do blend with our reality
Yes. Yeah.
and that work with it and not like power over it, if that makes any sense. So, why did you need to write this book? Like, what was the pull in your spirit or on your heart, on your soul that was like, Emma, you're writing this.
So I can't actually tell you exactly what happened for that. That's like firmly in my mind. I was in my east and I had a toddler and a new baby, and I just didn't know how to have a spiritual life anymore. Like I was just so tired. I didn't want to read, let alone study my Bible. I went to church and sat in the creche. I'd try and pray with my friends and we'd like run around after our toddlers. And I just was like, I didn't know what to do. And so I tried to speak to people who were older than me with older children to say, hey, like I'm struggling. I don't know how to have that intimacy with God. And I'm sure God wants to have intimacy with me, but I don't, all my things, they don't work anymore. I
Yeah.
didn't really get any help. People were well intentioned, but it was kind of like this is your spiritual life now. And in one way it's true that God wants to be woven into that. But I didn't know how to weave God into that. I only knew how to have
Yeah.
sections that I did things,
Yes.
and I couldn't
Yes.
have them anymore. And so I was
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
I need to go on a journey. And
Mm.
so for like 10 years, I went on a journey of how do I meet God in my everyday life? And I just journaled my journey. It,
Wow.
and it
Yeah.
became a book.
Yeah.
and it became a book
Yeah.
much like
That's
this
right.
book, but
Yep.
all for mums of young kids.
Yeah.
And it nearly got published, didn't get published. I lost heart, I laid it down, and then I kinda tried to fix it a bit and go back to it and change it, and then I really felt an invitation from God, like, "You've just gotta let that go.
Wow.
That's not gonna see
How
the
did
light
you
of
do
day."
that? That is really hard.
It was horrible. It was
Yeah.
so brutal because how hard I worked to find that time in those days. You
Yes.
know, I'd have, like,
Right.
a baby asleep, my husband on a sleepover at
Yeah.
work, and I'd be scribbling a few words, or there was, like, half an hour here or there, and it was very hard won, and so
Yeah.
to feel God invite me to let it go was
Yeah.
really painful, and I think, to be honest, it came with some resignation of kind of, like, giving up, like, "Okay, just forget it," and I didn't know
Well,
if I would ever write again.
wow.
It was a really long journey. So the son that was the baby has just turned 16, so this is how long this journey has been.
Mm.
And then October 2023, so just under 2 years ago, it was about the 8th or 9th of October, I was like, "I think it's time," and I picked up a pen and I sat, and it was the worst timing ever. John was away, the kids were about to come home from school, I hadn't made lunch, everything was a mess, and it just was like, "This is when I'm gonna start writing my book." This is
Wow.
the classic sort of thing that I would do.
Wow.
And I sat down with a pen and paper, and I
Yeah.
wrote the outline of the book in about 25 minutes, and I'm not joking,
Wow.
it hasn't really changed.
Yeah.
And by January 24, the first draft was done. So the
Yeah.
first one, 10 years, let it go. This total rewrite, started from scratch, literally in a
Yes.
notebook, 3 months, done.
Yes.
It just poured out. I mean, it
Wow.
is the culmination of my life from the last 15
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
So, I imagine, like, a lot of that book did come with you like, it, like, prepared the way in you in many ways
Yes.
for this other
Yes.
book to, like, pour out like it did,
Yes.
because that's
Yes.
pretty miraculous.
Yes. And it
Yeah.
sustained me in parenting.
Yes.
It gave me, like,
Yes.
a
Yes.
purpose. It gave me something that
Wow.
was my own. I could
Yes.
It gave me, like, a bit of identity that I and it gave me something to, like, kinda aim for, and
Yes.
it was more than just about me. I was like, "This is gonna help
Yeah.
other people." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was very important, but it's in this cupboard behind me just on A4 paper, actually, just chucked
Sweet,
in.
I was
Yeah.
wondering, yeah, that's really sacred. I just, like, need to pause of for gratitude, like, to have this conversation, like, I just like, so many goosebumps, so many just, like, heart hugs, like, it's just, like, I just cherish this, so I'm very grateful. I do have a couple questions about that. So you said, like, God you felt God invite you. How did you hear that invitation? How did that come to you? I'm just always so curious how people, like, resonate, like, "This is God's invitation on my life,
Yeah.
and this is hard right now, but have this, like, affirmation and this knowing."
I don't think I've ever really thought about it before, so I'm answering intuitively. I think it just kinda died. I just knew, like, this is that, like,
Well,
new wine in old wineskin. I was, like, trying to, like, remodel it and work it, and
wow.
it just didn't work, and
Yeah.
it wasn't who I was anymore, and
Yeah.
so it was just, like, I just sort of knew this had just got to go, and I just, like, and I felt very sad, but it was a deep inner knowing.
Yes.
I don't think I heard, like, words inside myself particularly.
Yeah.
I have had that before, but it was just like, "This just gotta go." And
Wow.
I never knew anything else would be born at the time, but it was the
Mm.
seed that birthed this book
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yes.
That book that you're holding is the fruit of that surrender. Yeah.
Mm. That's so beautiful.
Mhm.
And then the other thing real quick that just feels like encouragement for me is, like, when you started this book, in that moment of, like, nothing like, this doesn't really make sense to be writing in this moment, and that's, like, where I am right now in my writing journey, like, I know like, I was just affirmed of this yesterday, like, I need to push through this messy time and, like, make it happen when it might not make sense and prioritize it. So that just, like and It just feels like encouragement for me, and I'm sure a lot of, like, just writers too, it's like to prioritize and make that time sacred is I just appreciate you saying that. Hits me in the heart. And okay, so tell me about your book. So, faith habits and how to form them. How do we form them? Like, what is your favorite? I am curious, what's your favorite faith habit?
Mhm.
Like, what might come and does it come naturally to you? A favorite? And what's like your most challenging one?
I think my favorite is the Ignatian
Yeah.
practice, the
Yeah.
examination of conscience, just this kind of daily practice to notice the movements of God, movements of my heart, and what's been hard in my day. I've done that
Mm.
every day for a lot of years.
Wow.
And I would say it's very, very rare I don't do it unless I literally fall asleep. And it's quite quick now. It's not a lengthy one. It started with a
Yeah.
journal, and it started,
Yeah.
and I really had to think about it. But now it is actually a habit. It's quite automatic, like
Wow.
you get up and brush your teeth, sort of thing. It is just something that I
Yeah.
do as I'm falling asleep. And then I do
Yeah.
it once a week in community, which is a journaling
Oh,
practice in the
cool.
prayer orchard on a Sunday
Do
night.
you?
Yeah, review the week. And that's really nice,
Oh,
and I wouldn't do that without the community. That's
yeah.
the one that will
How has
probably
that
survive.
changed your life? Oh, sorry. Yeah. What was that? How does that add life to your life? How does that change you?
Oh, it just makes you notice you start to notice the patterns. You start to
Yeah.
see, "Ah, this is really helping me," or, "This is really not helping me." And
Yeah.
this is where I'm noticing this kind of shadow, false part of myself, and, I need to bring that to prayer, and this is where, like, the life and the light and the energy and the goodness is, and where I feel God is inviting me, and it grows gratitude in your life every day just to find something, find a moment of
Yeah.
goodness, a moment of God in your day. So I would say it's been really, really transformative for me.
That's stunning. Yeah, you're speaking my language. What questions do you ask yourself
So
for
I tend not to go for the formal consolation, desolation, which would be the kind of formal categories.
yeah.
There's this little book, it's very thin. It's called Sleeping with Bread. Have you got it? Oh yeah, there it is.
See
There
it?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
they give you some alternative questions or ways of kind of
Yeah.
accessing your heart to notice, and I really like them. So one of them I love is like, what brought me life today, and where did I feel the
Yes.
life draining from me today? And
Yes.
then one that I do, honestly, is like just what is something I'm grateful for? What do I find hard today? Just as simple as that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
beyond just the kind of processing, which we could do with or without any kind of faith, I suppose, there is this sense of I'm processing it with and in God. So even if I didn't notice God when it happened, or then I can come at the end of my day, I can kind of encase it in that, which is,
Wow.
yeah, really valuable. It's just another
Wow.
remembering, practicing the presence just all the time because I just forget. So
Yeah. That's so beautiful. And what's a challenging one for you?
I would say centering prayer is a challenging one for me. I'm in a solid season of not really doing it just now or not doing it very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Just find I have I love learning and processing and researching and to just do nothing. Like essentially, I know it's not nothing, but essentially that kind of just release. I'd rather just like think about something or
Yeah.
ponder something or read something or have input. I find it I find that just very, very difficult for me. I to do
Yeah.
that, but I have found it a fruitful practice.
Would you wanna, like, maybe give me a rundown of some, like, spiritual of faith habits? And 'cause what I wanna get to is, like, do you incorporate faith habits and practices with your marriage and family? But there are so many that you go through in the book that it's like, where do we even begin?
Yeah. I wonder if, like, it might be helpful for me to say a little bit how I chose to lay the book out, which
Yes,
might
yeah,
be a
I'd
bit
love
of
that.
like a bit of a zoom out. So
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm craving.
I think to help people get their heads around it a little bit, and for myself, I broke it into daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal, and yearly, just because some things we just can't do all the time, but we do want to do them, but we still kind of need to plan them in, or they just won't happen at all. Something maybe like a pilgrimage, we can't, well, I certainly can't just be on a big pilgrimage, but maybe in the year I can mark out something. So kind of I
Yes.
wanted to help people, but there's some things I really do want to do every day. I really do want to come into the presence of God and notice and be with God every day, so that's
Yes.
something I'm gonna try and do each day. And I noticed that a lot of the daily ones tend to be quite solo just because, and this might be my season of life, but, kind of early in the morning or last thing at night is when I'm likely to have a minute. So that's
Yeah.
when, and so then I tend to be on my own. And then some of the other practices, like practice of a Sabbath, that's something we've done as a family for sort of about a decade, I would say. So,
Have you? Wow.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the kids have been, and my husband, we've all kind of been part of that. Um,
Yeah.
that's one that's easier kind of, yeah, as a family, and my daughter does do their weekly examine, so she stays up at bedtime
Sweet.
and,
Yeah.
she does that every week, and she has for about 2 years. So I would say that must
Wow.
be really in her, you know,
Yeah.
in her mind. So, yeah.
That's sweet. What does the Sabbath look like for your family?
It's looked really different over the years.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's just this sense of like work is stopped and we're around. And actually, it always used to be, or mainly used to be, very together. But as the older boys have become teenagers, they have things on and jobs and clubs and different bits and bobs. So that it's not always able to be like that. And so
Yeah.
we try and grab something in that time, like a meal or a movie or something that's kind of centering for us as a family. I think if
Yes.
we were trying to keep it like when they were small and had total control kind of thing, like,
Yep.
we'll pack up a picnic and we'll go on this walk and then, and everybody will really enjoy it all day and then we'll come back and, we just can't do that. Wouldn't be fair. Nobody would, yeah, it wouldn't be right for us as a family. So just this sense of like not working, being together when we can, and things that kind of restore the soul. Um, for us, and I think our kids just probably just have different experiences of that spiritually, just, you
Yeah.
know, with all their different where they're at. But yeah, I think it's been
Yeah.
really integral. And when the kids were small, my husband and I each took time to have a bit of time on our own because
Oh, that's
we needed
yep.
that. But now we don't really as much because we each get time on our own because everyone's a bit older.
Do you have time like, how do you find time together? And this is a selfish personal question, but our kids are around the same age, and I feel like we didn't anticipate it being so challenging to have time as a husband and wife, like, just to have a conversation or whatever. With our kids being this age, just, like, everybody going everywhere and staying up later, and what is your what does that look like for you guys, and how do you, like, invest in your spiritual connection as a couple these days?
It is really important to us actually. Like we've tried to, because we had a big family reasonably young and like 4 kids in 6 years, basically just over 6
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Right from being parents, like every year we've always gone away for at least one night. And if we've been broke, it might be a night camping on the beach. Or
Sweet.
sometimes we can do a spa night or whatever it is. But that's been like a yearly practice, and we've never had a
Oh, I
year
love that.
off that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not super frequent, but over the years, it has made a massive difference in your kind
Yes.
of connection and intimacy
Yep.
and who you are just as a couple. So that's been
Yeah.
really important. And then a really current snapshot of that is, yeah, like evenings are pretty out, I would say. A very infrequent evening, but by the time we have meetings and things we're involved in, and I work sometimes in the evening, and my husband travels for work, and then all the clubs and bits and bobs and ferrying around, that's not a good time. So we tend to try and grab a fragment of a school day. So just this Monday, we caught the train into the city. We live near Edinburgh, and we went and bought a new book each with a little birthday voucher and had lunch and had a little date day
That's
and just,
so romantic.
yeah, just encased it in the school day.
I love that.
Yeah, but we've had to kind of fight for it, but we definitely do.
Mm.
And we communicate a lot. So we share a lot of what's going on in our hearts with each other. And we
Yeah.
both do that. So that really helps because, we're both invested in that. Um, so yeah, that really keeps a strong
That's really sweet.
intimacy.
Yeah. This might be a silly question, but is the question you ask, like, what's going on in your heart right now? Is that, like, something you actually like,
No,
how do you
I
Yeah.
think we are just actually in constant communication. So, like,
Yeah.
we are, like, sharing things we're learning or what we feel like we're noticing from God or
Yeah.
things we're frustrated about or what we're finding hard, we do a lot of dog walks,
Sweet.
and that's a really good time to talk,
Yeah.
and car rides and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's quite
That's sweet.
natural. We don't have a practice that's set actually, where it's like, because I know friends who really benefit from, like, a weekly date night or something like that,
Mhm.
and they really keep it in, or they have questions, like, in check-ins, but we don't have a formal thing,
Yeah.
actually. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I only ask because I think recently I've gotten in a habit of making it the norm to, like, he's my safe space, and, like, I unload frustrations a little too easily where, like, there's a time and a place for that, but I'm like, I think I can intentionally maybe just, like, be a little more intentional about what I'm saying and not just like, you know? I don't know, random, but I just think that for some reason that struck me as really sweet, just, like, sharing what's on your heart. It just feels, like, and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John's my safe
Yeah.
space too, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely, like, he really is steady.
Mm.
Yeah, I really value that.
Yeah. I love that. And so how many years have you guys been married?
So 19. So, yeah,
Wow.
we're 20
Yeah.
years married next year, yeah.
That just makes me think, like, in that time, in these last couple decades and raising your babies,
Mhm.
how has your idea of God grown over the years, and what has remained constant?
I think what's remained constant is having a faith and in the goodness of God. A lot of other stuff has changed, and it hasn't
Has it?
always
Yeah.
changed at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
And when my faith began to expand and evolve and change, it really derailed me. Like, I would go as far to say as it sort of affected my mental health. Like, I was
Yeah.
very anxious. I had physical symptoms. I felt like my hair beginning to fall out and a lot of panicking and not waking up at 3 a.m. and terrible, just looping of things like over and over and over again as I came away from like entrenched beliefs. And John did a lot of listening in
Yeah.
that time because he absolutely supported me through that. And then his faith, of course, has changed as well in a much more like steady way, which probably reflects some of us as people. Mine was like chaos, and his was, yeah, a little bit. But yeah, we've always managed to, like, stay united on so many things, and we might not think exactly the same about every single thing, but,
Yeah.
kind of the big stuff we do.
Yeah.
And I would say overall, our faith has just become more expansive, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that part of what encouraged you to wanna be a spiritual director?
Yeah, I think when I had a spiritual director and saw the difference that it made, which is
Yeah.
another obviously another safe space I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask, do you think that that was in part I am intrigued by, like, in spiritual direction, did you all talk about dark night of the soul, dark night of the senses, and those kinds of things?
In my training?
Yeah.
Not so much,
Is that
no.
something?
No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I
Okay.
mean, I was, yeah, Ignatian trained.
Okay, yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot on the kind of all the sort of rules and just a lot of practice in triads and a lot of listening work and
Yeah.
discernment and skills like that. I
Yes.
don't think we specifically touched on that. I have like read things about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
May I
no.
ask, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think that was part of what was going on in your spiritual life at that time?
Do I think I kind of had one?
Yeah.
Do I think I had
I don't know, maybe we can't, like, prescribe that to ourselves, but I just, like, think it's
I guess my
those
version
are
of
kind
one
Yeah.
because I didn't know which way was up anymore, and I knew I didn't
Yeah.
think what I'd been told, but I really thought you weren't allowed to think anything else. And so
Mhm.
that left me very stuck because I just
Yeah.
did not know what to do or where to go.
Yes.
And I was experiencing things that I was finding God in, I'd been told weren't okay, and it was just so disorientating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I speak to people in spiritual direction now who are where I was a few years ago, And I can say with confidence, like, this does get better, but when you're in it,
Yeah.
you really don't think it will. Yeah, I couldn't see how I was ever
Yeah.
gonna feel okay.
Yeah.
But I never thought about walking away from my faith. That was never an option for
Yeah.
me. I've kind of
Yeah.
never wavered on that,
Yeah.
just what it meant to have a Christian faith
Yes.
changed for me a bit.
If someone's moving through that right now, like not knowing which way is up or down, what would be something like you would, if you could go back and say to yourself, or if you could say to someone right now moving through that, what might you offer?
I think I would reassure them that it's gonna be okay and
Yeah.
that God is very big and very
Yeah.
okay with this, and that
Yeah.
actually they will be a more whole person the other side of that,
Mm.
more
Mm.
free from the attachment of what people think, more confident in God and in that integral relationship between them and God, rather
Yes.
than how it's filtered through everybody else and culture, and that's actually in the end, that's all we really have that's, anyway.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think
Yes.
I would just reassure and
Yeah.
encourage them to do anything they can that's grounding and
Yes.
safe and
What is grounding? Yeah. What is like a grounding?
find some safe people.
Yeah.
And maybe for a time, there's where we limit interaction with people who really it's really not helpful, and people
Yeah.
who are definitely not going to understand what you're going
Yeah.
through. Of
Yeah.
course, not forever, but maybe there is a little bit of time when you do need a little bit of, like, cocooning, just like we would
Yes.
if a child was going through, like, a bit of a hard time and say,
Yeah.
"Okay, maybe don't hang out with those people for a minute." Um,
Yes.
we need to extend that same kindness and graciousness to
Mm.
ourselves that we can't maybe cope with everything in a season of change.
Yes. That's beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, I love you mentioned like in a season of change. Not just so you write about like spiritual faith habits for various seasons. And what season, you've mentioned a little bit, but like what season are you in right now? And what do your faith habits
Mm.
look like for that? If you could just like paint a little picture for us and maybe invite me along with you so I
Yeah,
can kind of
yeah.
followify my life
Mm.
or just spiritual season. Yeah.
So I'm in a new season right now. It's fall, it's autumn, but I'm kind of in a spring, like a new season. One of like my eldest has just left home, which is massive on my heart, on our family
Yeah.
dynamics, on
Yes.
everything. You just like these little reminders, each night when you lock the door and, it's just a big transition as a parent and a new one.
Yes.
We've never been
Yeah.
through this before. So that's massive and,
Yeah.
for all of us in the home. So there's that and all my work is kind of steady and the same, but I'm starting a course. I literally started a course 2 days ago and I did start writing my second book properly today.
Oh,
Yes, all the things.
this is spring. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
Wow.
some new things going. Find space to do that and also a movement practice. I teach quite a lot of classes, so I can be between like 9 and 11 over a Tuesday, Wednesday, which is obviously a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and it can easily diminish my personal practice where I don't hardly have one, like a movement practice.
Yeah.
Feels like I'm already doing it enough. Um,
Right.
but I've just kind of weaving that back in. So yes, the mornings for me, I'm trying to get my kind of movement in and meditation practice, and they're both kind of new the way I'm doing them. So that feels
Yeah.
really new because I mean you'll see in the book I had like it's quite a steady rhythm that I'd done for quite a long time, and so change is always a little
Wow.
uncomfortable. So I'm
Yeah.
finding my feet and falling over a bit and I'm in that stage. It wouldn't go in a
How do
neat
you make
table
time
now,
to write? Yeah.
like in the book.
Yeah. 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 How do you make time to write? How do you make that work?
I'd love this to be neat as well, but I wrote that book in these random explosions. So I remember I went to my friend has a little cabin that is sort of like off grid and in the middle of nowhere. There's no shop or
Yeah.
anything. And I went and stayed there for 2 days, and in one of the days I wrote like 14,000 words, just some kind of like maniac explosion of words until I like
Wow.
felt sick because I had
Yeah.
done so much had poured out of me.
Wow.
I actually remember the feeling in my body like I never worked this hard sort of thing.
Wow.
And so generally, and that's kind of how I wrote it. I went to I got one from the shepherd's hut, which is like a sort of spiritual space, this like little refuge that they've created. And in the cabin, I wrote most of it in stints like that in a couple of days where I just go and write and write and write and write. And then kind of unfortunately just when it sort of takes me, I don't have a lovely neat, you know, just do some every day. I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
Tried, but it's just
Yeah.
not how I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Like today,
I
it
love that.
wasn't the greatest timing today, but I just kind of like it was when it
You listen to it.
yeah.
That's huge. Because it's really easy to, like, feel the invitation, feel the pull, and just be like, "Nope, I have to go do laundry," or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's just me,
Well,
but actually,
that's
I
why
don't like
you'll
doing
notice
laundry,
I
but
didn't talk about my home very much for writing. I mean, I did today. I did do it in my
yeah.
home today, but if I was gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Right, I would go somewhere for a day now." I couldn't do
Yeah.
that before. It was fragments,
Yeah.
which is why it took 10 years probably, but I've found
Yeah.
now in a day I can do quite a lot. If it's kind of building and brewing,
Yep.
and my mind is very busy. So I'm always like learning and processing. And like John laughs at me because I'll go and do something like nip and get some milk and I'll come back with some sort of massive like revelation. He's like, how can
Oh,
anything have
cute.
happened? You've been like 12 minutes. So I think it's always kind of there. And then it gets to the page when it can, I suppose,
Yeah.
or the website or the class or whatever it is, whatever
Yeah.
way it's going to come
I
out.
love that. I almost forgot. Okay, so I love in your book, you talk a little bit about the desert mothers and fathers
Mhm.
and some of the saints and mystics, and it just, like, I just so appreciated it, and I love learning about them, and I don't know what it is, but, like, I feel like I have this it's hard to put words to the way especially the desert mothers well, and the mystics and saints, but they, like, just really speak to my heart and, like, pull at me, and I wanna learn more. So, why did it feel important for you to include them in the book, and what can we glean from their wisdom in our daily lives?
I think we can learn so much by looking back at people who've gone before
Yeah.
us. And
Yeah.
I knew nothing about any of this till a few years ago. Nothing at all. Not a single thing. I may be like
Yeah.
St. Patrick when you have a pint of Guinness or something, but literally no idea. I'd probably heard of St. Francis, but knew it was something to do with animals. But that's about, just nothing.
Yeah.
The sort of tradition I was part of it wasn't a big thing at all. So I found it really fascinating that this was all part of our history. And I was like, oh, just don't know
Yes.
anything about this at all.
Yeah.
Didn't really, I suppose, anything pre-Reformation. Just wouldn't have. I mean, yeah, I just wouldn't have known. Or what I suppose I wasn't interested. I wasn't exposed. It's no one's fault. I didn't know. And so
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought the context is really important. And I think the Desert Mothers and Fathers, we can feel so busy now and we're like, oh, this is like, the most crazy time anyone's ever lived. And we've got the internet and this and that. Our time is particularly difficult for deep spiritual practice. But then you look at those guys, like a couple of 100 years after Jesus, and they're fleeing to get away from everything to a physical
Hmm.
desert to connect with God because they
Yes.
don't want to be compromised. And they can see how religion's mixing with power and it's not going well. And just think, wow, this story's been playing out for ages. And so I think you can find yourself in the context of it. And I suppose as well, like kind of mystically, there's something in my heart that
Yeah.
wants to retreat with God. No,
Yes.
but I understand and want to do it in
Yeah.
the context of my life. And I know,
Yes.
you know, my desert's going to be within because I'm not, and I don't want to go anywhere else. So growing
Yeah.
that inner world um, is something I really want to do so much.
Well, yeah. 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 How can I be a desert mother just in my life? Because I told you before, like, I'm like, a big part of me would love to move. I mean, I can't lie to myself. I'm a city girl, but like on the fringe, a little farther out. And like, I would love to just sit in silence all day, but it's not realistic with the life that I live, and I do feel at odds in that sometimes in my soul and my heart. Yeah, how do we and you said, like, you've kind of aren't you don't do centering prayer as much. Are there other things that bring that, like so I guess I'm kind of intrigued because I really do love the silence and stillness. I know you mentioned the examen. Are there any other things that you feel like give you just that, like, God's presence in your heart, that, like, peace throughout the day?
Yeah, I think nature.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think nature reflects God, and so we find God
Yes.
in nature, and
Yes.
the bigness of it can I mean,
Yeah.
I am very fortunate I live near the ocean, which is very big, and there's woods and
Mm.
things nearby, so that I do have that
Yeah.
expanse, but to be honest, if all you have is a house plant, you know, you can be with that.
Wow.
You can do it whatever your circumstance is, but
Yeah.
just that kind of something to kind of open our heart and mind and still ourselves, and
Mm.
some sort of practice of silence, whatever it is, whether it's 5 minutes. And then
Yeah.
maybe this is where the kind of seasonal yearly practices can come in. Like in August, I went and had 36 hours in silence. And I just went away and did that. It was
Yeah.
to kind of shove it in, just like where I could see a little gap and got the calendar out. My husband's going to take a couple of days soon, like in this next couple of weeks, and so,
Cool.
yeah, a lot of kind of planning and putting it in, and I guess supporting each other in these kind of things helps as well. But actually, like, even looking at Jesus and the accounts that we have, he withdrew, but and had these times, but then he was with people and doing stuff and busy and on the road and all the things. So
Yeah.
I find that an encouragement.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That totally is. I love that.
He actually didn't withdraw, did he?
Yeah.
Go in a monastery or, could have done. Could have just
Yeah.
been some
Right.
wise, sage under a tree, but didn't choose to do that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of hope in that.
Yeah, there is a lot of hope in that. Yeah, there really is. Did he like I wonder what he did he, like, stop and pray in the morning? Like, do we know?
It said he
Yeah.
rose early and went to a solitary place to pray quite a few times, or a high
Okay.
place. And then we have
Interesting.
yeah, and obviously we have the 40 days in the wilderness, which is the only
Yeah.
time I can see a kind of chunk of solitude.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of regular kind of withdrawing and but then
Yeah.
returning, that kind of like so I was thinking of like the tide kind of coming in and out.
Mm, yes.
We have this beautiful little island about an hour away from us called Holy Island, and it's a tidal.
Really?
The access is tidal, so you can only access it at low tide. And then if the tide comes in, you're on there
Wow.
until it's low tide again. And so
Yeah.
you have and every year somebody crosses at the wrong time and their car is like floating. Uh,
No.
you can
My
see it,
goodness,
yeah.
funny.
But it's an incredible sort of picture of the sort of spiritual life, and it is a place of kind of religious life, and community on there, as well as a regular place. But yeah, I
That
always think that's an amazing picture, like, sometimes it's okay like, sometimes the tide comes in, and we need that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
we're restored for when it comes out again.
Yes. That is really encouraging. Like, you're really encouraging me, I think, to intentionally plan
Or
some things that then, like, give me hope that I will, like, be more prepared to move with the
yeah.
tide of life. Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I need some of the bigger chunks here and there. I can't have them
Yeah.
super often, and that's fine, and
Yeah.
then the smaller ones kind of sustain me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else on your like, about your book that you just that excites you that you'd love to share?
Yeah, there's a bit I really love in it actually, where I talk about different seasons of life we find ourselves in and how that can affect our spiritual practice and to give dignity
Yes.
and acknowledgement to the season we're in. So, for
Mm.
example, if you're in a season of transition, you're maybe in perimenopause, maybe you're getting divorced, maybe you're moving, maybe you lose your job. This kind of like to notice, okay, I'm in a different season. What's working? What isn't working? Where am I struggling? Where do I need a little bit of upholding? What's going to help
Mm.
to anchor and tether me in this time? So I
Yes.
guess for that kind of when you feel unstable for one reason or another, something grounding, something stabilizing, probably something that's the same that is
Yes.
changing. It's probably not the time to
Yes.
try something new. It's probably the time to be like, oh, what's familiar and safe? What does my nervous system love? How are these like
Yes.
ways I know God that can be like a rock for me?
Yes.
And then, yeah, or if maybe you're really ill and you're recovering from something and you just don't have any energy, it's like, okay, well, let's scrap everything you don't have to do. Where can
Yes.
you lean in? What can be kind of light for you, but that way you still feel alive, sort of spiritually.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I outline a few 6 or 7 different ones and kind of go into things I think that could possibly help and help people to
Yes.
see. But I guess the main bit is, like, just a bit of, like, awake, alive, current faith that it's not religion, but it's this living thing,
Hmm.
living
Hmm.
relationship that is flexing to our reality.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
that we don't feel bad when we can't do the same as Bob or Sarah, but we're looking at what we can do.
Wow.
I think that's a bit I really love.
Wow. That is really beautiful. Thinking of faith, like, when you said that, it makes me think of faith as almost this, like, living organism.
Yeah.
As weird as that may sound, but just, like, that's, like, expanding and growing and supporting us as in our different seasons of life. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know okay, I think we both like, trying different healing things and supports. Are there any cool things that you've tried or done recently that I should try?
Well, I don't know if you'll have tried it or not, but I've learnt a lot the last few years around kind of herbal medicine. And when I say I've learnt a lot, I mean I've seen a medicinal herbalist and she's
Yeah,
given me
yeah,
herbs. I don't mean I
yeah,
actually know all
yes,
the herbs, but yeah, I found
yeah.
that when conventional medicine wasn't helping me, herbal medicine definitely came in and made a massive difference of bringing balance to my body, and
That's
also
amazing.
Ayurveda, the sort of sister science of yoga. A lot of that just bringing in balance was also really part of my healing journey from a gynae condition that I had that got really quite bad.
I'm sorry,
So
what was
yeah.
the condition?
So I had adenomyosis, which is a bit like
Okay,
endometriosis, but it's contained to the womb.
okay.
So it's like,
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen the kind of picture, and there's sort of like lesion looking things where and in
Yeah,
endometriosis, it can be anything. It can be on the bowel or anywhere,
yeah,
but mine was localized to the uterine wall.
okay.
But yes, just what you would imagine, a lot of pain, very heavy
Yeah,
periods, um,
yeah,
just very difficult with my job because
yeah.
if you're in agonizing pain and kind of crazy amount of blood, it's very difficult to teach Pilates. So it was,
Right.
yeah, not easy for me. And I was, the doctors were, great. They did what they could with what they had. They gave me
Yep,
stuff
yep.
to kind of clot up the blood so it wasn't as crazy. They gave me really strong pain relief and antispasm medication, but that comes with side effects, of course. And eventually, the gynecologist was sort of like who scanned me was sort of like, think we're probably at the point of a hysterectomy really because, you've had your babies. This is really impacting your daily life. Your iron levels are very low. You're losing too much blood. You don't like the medications. I tried the coil, that didn't work for me. And it does for some people, but it didn't for me.
Yeah.
But then it was COVID. So obviously it's not an emergency. So
Really?
so they
Yeah,
cancelled
yeah.
they
Oh,
cancelled
that's right.
my operation. So I kind of thought, well,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a while. I'm not gonna have the operation. Maybe this is the time to explore other ways of healing.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I took a very like multifaceted approach. So there was the herbs from the herbalist. I worked with an embodiment coach and she had me kind of sit like with my womb, like sit and just notice and notice
Wow.
did my womb have anything to say? Was there things that and I found
Yes,
all that like I've never
yes.
like quite British, definitely never spoken to my womb before. crazy, but just sort of thought, I'm kind of all in. And
Yeah.
so I had a big moment of breakthrough was I'd been doing it for a while and it was just kind of awkward, nothing really happening,
So
like
stunning.
nice and
Yeah.
early in the morning, no one can hear me talking to my womb. And then one day I was there and I had my hands just lightly rested on my lower
Yes.
belly. And then my hands went extremely hot, like hot, 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 hot. And there was no
Wow.
emotion, there's
Wow.
no build up. I'm on my own. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
My went really hot, and I had a memory come back in like a flash of when
Yes.
I was in
Yes.
I had a very one of my births was very traumatic, and I got
Yes.
pushed through this they were pushing me up to the delivery, and they kind
Yes.
of, like, pushed the door open, like, with my feet. I just got this memory of, like and it was, like, really uncomfortable, and I was already in quite a lot of pain, um, and I just had this
Mm.
memory, and then I just said it just came out of my mouth, "That's all finished now." Like, I just said it out loud, and then the kind of the heat kind of went sort of around my body and then just kinda
Wow.
cried, and then I was like,
Wow.
"Wow, that was in" and then the next cycle I had was, like, half as bad probably. It was that dramatic. It
Wow.
was it was
Wow.
really a turning point.
Wow.
And then I guess the Ayurveda piece was it's an inflammatory condition, and I'm very
Yeah.
high pitta, one of the dosha types, um,
Yeah.
and so bringing in
Which
a
one
lot of
is that again?
cooling. So there's the
The
pitta,
pitta's
the
hot, like
kapha,
the heat? Yeah.
and the vata.
Okay.
My kind of constitution is I'm high pitta, my second one is the kappa, and I was just accidentally doing so many inflammatory things and not
Yeah.
on purpose at all, but it's funny you're often
Yep.
drawn you can be off like kind
Yeah.
of draws like, but what you need is the
Yeah.
opposite. So, I
Yeah.
was doing some HIIT workouts, I was things like garlic and onion and tomatoes and red wine, and there was just a few things that it was all very inflammatory, not that I knew. So I just began to bring in lots of very simple cooling, calming
Mm.
practices.
Mm.
Just did,
Yeah.
quit the gym, just, all the kind of things that they were just not helping me. They're not wrong, or
Yeah.
weren't right for me. And just slowly,
Right.
slowly, essentially, when
Mm.
I became symptom free, essentially, after
Yeah.
about another
Wow.
yeah, after about another 6 months.
Did you really?
Yeah, normal period. So I was like 10 days of chaos down to like 5 days where maybe 1 day was heavy. I imagine what's kinda normal. So
Wow.
I eventually got my next appointment through to see, and I said, "I don't think I've become like, I'm not having symptoms." They were like, "Oh, that's really nice, but it's probably it will recur." Sometimes it lies low and it comes back, and which I had experienced actually. So that
Huh?
had been true for me because I had a bad
Yep.
bout after my daughter was born, and it did go away for several years.
Wow.
So I
Yep.
thought, "Oh, yeah, there is that kind of this could just come back."
Yes.
And so they were like, "It doesn't really reverse. It tends to be progressive or
Yeah.
managed with medications or a coil or whatever."
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, "Well, I really would like another scan," which I think they were a bit like just sort of appease me. And then my scan was just totally clear. And the gynecologist was like, and I sort of told her all the things I was doing, and I could tell she was just sort of I don't think she just knew what to do with what I was saying, but she was
Yeah.
really happy for me. I mean, obviously, that
Yeah.
you don't need a major operation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a few years ago now, maybe,
Yes.
and
That is so stunning.
yeah, I've maybe had 1 or 2 periods that are, like, a tiny bit painful, but obviously, I'm sure everybody has that anyway. But so far,
Yeah.
no regression, so yeah.
That just offers so much hope. Like, that is incredible.
Mhm.
And we actually really do have, like, a decent amount of overlap there, and just herbs are my favorite thing and completely changed my life, and I did experience some like, the way you describe, like, it does feel like they allow what's been stored in our body to, like, lift up,
Mhm.
to be acknowledged and seen if we give them that space,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I mean, just like everything you said, I'm like, that's, like, all I want for for everybody. I mean, it's so powerful and just so, so beautiful. Oh, I just Do you have any other is there anything you do to, like so you continue with Ayurvedic, like, keeping cooling things in your
I
life?
do. I think that's probably gonna be
Yeah.
important for me forever, like this, my
Okay.
garlic and onion is now fennel. There's just some
Okay.
switches I've
Yeah.
made that are easy,
Right.
that just work so
That's
well for
amazing.
me. Bit more careful in the
Yeah.
summer, bit more chilled about it
Yeah.
in the winter because you're not gonna be as affected in the cooler seasons as you are
Yes.
in the hot ones.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's things that I definitely integrate, and
Yeah.
I can feel myself going out of balance a little easier, and I think,
Yeah.
"Okay, don't have a glass of prosecco, don't," I
Yeah.
start to kind of see what it's a little bit like a dance, you start to
Yes.
become a little bit more
Yes.
natural with it, but I still have
Yes.
support. Um,
Yes.
I still speak to my herbalist who was,
Yep.
absolutely incredible, and I was on 3 months of, like, tinctures, like, kind of herbal
Yep.
prescription, and I
Yep.
mean, I don't think people know, like, how it is actually just medicine even though it's plant, like,
Yes.
because once I
Yes.
had, like, a concoction that wasn't quite right, and I had
Yes.
terrible headaches, they do
Yes.
something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like it's like some kind of, I don't know, pseudoscience or
Yes.
something. It's like if this was all our
Right.
medicine for a long time
Yes. Right.
to bring
Yeah.
balance back to the body and support it because God
Yes.
designed us to heal. And so,
Yes.
our body does want to, but sometimes it does need some tools and some help.
Yes. Yes.
But a little caveat I'd love to put in there is I do
Yes,
know
please.
people with, like, specifically gynecological conditions, and possibly all the herbs and all the embodiment practices aren't, they're
Yes.
still gonna need an operation, and there's no shame in that. We're all different,
Yes.
and,
Caveats are so important.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
there are things, and that's fine. I think for me, I
Yes.
had this set
100%.
time where the operation wasn't an
Right.
option, and I gave it a go.
Right.
That's not gonna be
Yes.
everyone's story, and
Yep.
God is in the conventional things too. I
Yes.
do wanna say that because people's situations
Yes.
are different. One doesn't trump the other, it's just
Yep. It's beautiful to
yeah,
hold them both and to have them both
yeah, I'm
and
grateful for
yeah,
both.
to have the grace to
Yeah,
yeah, find balance in your body and balance within that as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And can I ask, and maybe this like, how is your shoulder doing? Do you remember that
Do.
story?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to hear it from your perspective, what you remember, because I reached out to you and shared this with you, because your
Yes.
book comes into this.
Yes, and you shared and I think why I so, yes, you reached out and you shared that you had, like, healing or, like, a beautiful experience in your shoulder where you had been experiencing pain, and I think I just, like, wanna bring it up because there was something about that story and even just our connection in general
Yeah,
that I've had moments of, like, this is what life can be like. Like, we can meet, like-hearted people, and, like, when we share ourselves and our gifts with one another, sometimes mysteriously, sometimes miraculously, these little moments of life or healings can happen, and it just I think and I do have and this probably so I feel, like, really sheepish saying this, but I had, like why it feels special to me, and it is embarrassing to say out loud, but I had prayers with Jesus of being like, "I wanna help people heal." And and there was something about when you shared it that felt like, "Kate, maybe you can."
yeah,
Like, maybe you can listen to that?
yeah,
I don't know. So I do feel, like, embarrassed and sweaty, like, saying that out loud, but it just was this, like, beautiful, just kind of, like, life connection,
yeah,
sweet, powerful,
yeah,
and just powerful story.
yeah.
And I like so many caveats and healing stories,
Of
like,
course.
you know,
I've had yeah,
so
yeah,
many,
of
like
course.
my mom grew up with like so many autoimmune diseases and conditions and so many things, like just I wrestled with like, why do some prayers get answered? Like there's
Yes.
so much of
Yeah,
that too. And I
of
think
course.
it's very important to hold it all
Yes.
tenderly and with grace.
Yeah.
And like you said, like no shame ever,
No.
but also to be open
Yeah.
to the miracles still.
Yeah. We can still
Yeah.
we don't understand everything, but we can still have faith as small as a mustard seed about these things,
Yes.
and there can still be
Yes.
mystery and beauty and healing, and even though
Yes.
we don't get the whole cosmos and how
Yeah.
everything works.
Yeah.
But firstly, I am gonna answer your question, but I find it interesting that you feel sheepish about that because for me, that's just like, it's such a biblical desire in you
Yeah.
that Jesus walked around healing people and then literally said, "You'll do greater things than this." So
Yes,
it's
it
just
why
totally in
yes.
alignment. It's totally in
Yeah.
alignment with our faith. So, yeah,
Yes.
you don't need to feel sheepish and, you will bring healing through and you do already through what you do. So, yeah, I hope you don't need to feel
Yeah, it is
sheepish
an
about that
interesting
again.
thing to be aware of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
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 So
Thank you.
I had this, like, I'll call it a niggle because it wasn't like my adenomyosis was not a niggle. It was really
Right.
a
Yes.
a massive thing.
Life altering.
But
Yeah.
I had this shoulder thing, and it was just something I couldn't get past. And basically, every time I wear a backpack of any kind, or should I say, every time I wore a backpack of any kind, even if it was a light one with just a bottle of water and a book in, like a little one, after about 10 minutes, I'd get numbness down my left arm. So it was obviously compressing a little bit of a nerve, I would imagine. And I'd been to the chiropractor and had massage, and nothing had ever worked. And it's been a really long time, like 15 years or something. So whenever we go for a
Wow.
walk, one carries a really heavy backpack, so I basically just can't carry one, or I carry it for a second one for a few minutes because I feel bad, and then one of the kids has to carry it because it stays as well after for a little bit. So it is
Yeah.
really annoying, just this really annoying thing because we love like getting out hiking and getting in the wilderness, and you need a drink and stuff. So it's just this really irritating, long-standing issue.
Yeah.
And basically, I just started to see pink roses everywhere. Now, I don't wanna over mystify this because it was, like, rose season, so they were genuinely out. Like, I don't it wasn't like it was now. They were genuinely sort of springish time. So they were around, so, where I walked to work, I'd see them against the wall, and I saw them in people's gardens, but they showed up, like, a really weird amount. Like, I went to work and there's just one randomly by the kettle, and then, like, I went on a walk and somebody had left some on the beach. It was like they were just everywhere. It was insane. And they ca and I quite like the meanings of things, so I was kinda looking it up, and I felt like God was speaking to me through this thing and kind of meeting me and romancing me, and it was just this really beautiful,
Oh,
beautiful thing. And
wow.
it was
I
around
love thinking about it like God romancing you.
Yeah, it was really.
That is really
Yeah,
sweet.
I just kept finding, like, these little presents everywhere, like, "Oh, there's another one."
Yes. Right.
I just loved it. Anyway, it was around the time I got your book, which has lots of different blessings, and I literally opened it on one that is to do with it's to do with a rose. In fact, your book's over there. Is it actually to do with a pink rose? I can't remember, or just a rose? I'm trying to think. But the
I think
fact
it
that
might
there's
be a rose. Yeah, blossom like a rose, something about a
Yes.
rose.
So
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
that there's anything to do with the rose, to be honest, it's not like I was
Yes.
expecting
Yes.
that, and it was sort of straight away the one I
Yes.
opened it on, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I just need to sit with this because this is like another thing." It's like another thing about roses. So I took, and I don't ever draw or paint anything, like, ever, beyond a stick man. But I was like, I really wanna linger in this, and so I took a little thing, and I went to the beach, and I had a little movement practice, and then I sat with this blessing, um, and then it and my shoulder had been really bugging me, and then it actually talked about the shoulder, and so I was like, I mean, it was just too many things, too many coincidences to be a coincidence, so I was like, "I'm just gonna pray this
Yes.
blessing, I'm gonna sit with it," and so I did, and I didn't really think about anything, didn't really think about it again, and then the next time I wore a bag, my shoulder didn't hurt, and I was like, "That's weird," because it is literally every time, like, every single time, and my shoulder didn't hurt, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And then I did another time, and I thought, "Oh, like, don't read too much into it. Maybe, like, you just kind of the bag's light and you didn't wear it for very long." And then we went to climb on Munro, which are, like, the mountains in Scotland, where I live, and, it's a several-hour hike, and I said to John, I'll wear one of the bags," and he was like, "Isn't your shoulder gonna hurt?" I was like, Maybe not. I'm not sure." And anyway, I
Yeah.
did this hike for, like, 5 hours, and I wore the bag. I didn't wear it the whole time just because it's a hard hike. I shared it with one of my sons, but, it just didn't hurt at all, and it hasn't hurt carrying a bag since, which I mean, I just don't know what to say about that. I just it's
Yeah.
just a it was a healing and incredible, and I think it really connected me to you because I wanted to tell you, obviously, because I thought, wow, if I wrote that and then somebody literally experienced the healing it was about, I would wanna know. So,
Well, and then isn't that beautiful too? Like then you shared with me and like what an encouragement that is to my heart. Like
yeah.
I think it speaks to me of this like interconnectedness
Mhm.
and like it feels like encouragement to like share those things and just like this beautiful connection that we can have from across the world. I
Yeah.
just think is
Yeah.
it's just kind of lovely.
It is. It is, and we talk a lot about the negatives of social media and stuff, but there are
Yeah.
positives.
Yeah.
You get
Yes.
companions for your
Yes.
journey sometimes, and that is
Yes.
really special, and otherwise I just
Yeah.
probably wouldn't know you at all. So,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah, and the
lovely.
more you talk, I'm like, well, I feel very at ease with you. You actually remind me of one of my best friends a lot. And I'm like, whoa, I just feel so in alignment with you and your heart. So just your very presence feels like encouragement to me. Yeah. And I want to be respectful of your time. Like, I can't believe it's actually already been this long. So I'm sorry.
Wow, that is long. Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I've loved talking to you.
But I am curious, I really like your storytelling. Do you want to share a little bit about Mary Magdalene?
Well, I know very little, so I can't tell you much, but I did have a
Yeah.
little kind of encounter recently. And again, don't know what to say about it. I can only just tell you what happened. So
Yeah.
I don't know lots, only essentially what I've read in the Gospels. Um, find it really fascinating. I love how Jesus just valued women in general, so I've always found
Yes.
that really amazing.
Yes.
And really how incredible it is that they're in the Bible as much as they are in thinking when it was
Yes.
written,
Yes.
just so, like, dignifying for people and for women and just incredible.
Yes.
So, yeah, I just don't really know much, but just she just started to come up a little bit again. It's a bit like the rose
Yeah.
thing.
Same with me too.
Just
Right.
started
Yeah.
to
Like I'm
notice.
like it's almost like it's like and maybe I just love mysticism so much, but like it feels like it's like almost like fog, like coming like it's like coming off the I mean, maybe it's just my awareness, but I've just never been as aware of her
Yeah,
as I am right now,
yeah,
and so every time I hear anything about her, I'm like, "Tell me anything, tell me more."
yeah,
Like, there's something about her that I just, like, need my spirit needs
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So,
So I
pardon the
didn't know lots.
tangent.
I mean, I learnt a lot from your podcast and the guests that you had on, quite recently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that was kind of it in my mind. And then, making sure this is anonymous. I think it is anonymous enough. I was at a festival, and I was at a worship morning in at this festival, and lady came over and introduced herself to me, and she said, "Hi, I'm Mary." And I said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Emma." You know, didn't think anything of it. And then we had communion about half an hour later, and it was all normal, you know, the bread and the wine. And how they did it was just on the plate, and she came around to every person and gave them the communion. That's just what they did. And she gave me the communion. It came to me, and I took the thing. And normally, I just don't say in that like sort of setting. I normally just wouldn't say anything. I would maybe sort of say like, quietly or something,
yeah,
but I just it's not
yeah,
really a conversation time, is it? It's normally just quite
yeah,
reflective and whatever. Anyway, I just looked at her straight in the face and I just said, "Thank you, Mary," and said her name, which and obviously I've only met her
yeah,
for, like, 1 second, and I don't always use people's names a lot. I really noticed I did it. It was like a thing. But
yeah,
as soon
yeah,
as
yeah,
I said it, I f I heard, like, in my heart internally, obviously she didn't say anything, heard internally, like, let me show you Jesus, let me serve you, Jesus."
hmm,
But it was Mary Magdalene that I was thinking of, like, what can I
yes,
learn about Jesus through that lens? And
yes,
it just it was like it was a spiritual moment, you know, like my body sort of
yes,
flooded and it was like a thing. And I just had the communion and yeah, I mean, I've bought a book and I haven't read it yet. I got it the other day, and I have had a quite a deep conversation with somebody, but that's it. I haven't explored a lot more. That was reasonably recently. So
Mm,
yeah, that's I'm interested, but I don't know a lot. That's kind of where I'm
that's
at with
so
that.
beautiful. Do you read Cynthia Bourgeois?
I've read The Wisdom Jesus, and I've got a
Yes.
centering prayer one. That's all I've read, and I've listened to a couple of teachings.
Yeah. And then I wonder if you would like mystical, is it Mystical Courage? And then she has one on Mary
Yeah,
that
no,
I'm
I've
like
not read that.
just making my way through.
Yeah,
And this story just reminds me so much of her and her teaching. And in true mystical fashion, I can't quite put my finger on it, but she just talks about how, like, just like ways we can still access this ancient biblical wisdom from
mhm,
people that came before us in our everyday. And in fact, it's like part of our duty in as followers of Jesus. And Cynthia says it way better than I can, but it just keeps making me think of her writing and her teaching, that like beautiful, powerful moment and that story, and how much like those little interactions and stories, and like when we hear something on our heart, like it just can powerfully impact our day and the way we show up in our life. So I just appreciate you sharing that. And like I just like live for those those moments,
yeah,
They just those little,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, food for
life-giving.
the soul, aren't they? Just these little moments of,
Yeah.
like, just lifts you up a
Yeah.
little bit out of the kind of the everyday, and just remember, like,
Yes. Yeah.
anything that can just help me remember God. Just keep
Yes.
remembering and
Yeah, that's what it
remembering and
is.
remembering,
Yeah.
like, the Holy Spirit
And we're
dwells
made
within
for
me. Oh my
something.
goodness,
Yes.
like, keep
Yes.
keep I just need to keep
Yes.
remembering because I just forget,
Yes.
and
Yes, and actually it feels like this remembering how stunning you are, how, like, big you are, how connected we truly are with
yes,
God.
yes.
Yes.
'Cause I'm
Yes.
using the words imaginative because one level for me it is because I don't live in the reality of what actually is, that somehow in that Trinitarian mystery I am woven right in. And so I
Yeah.
need my imagination to help wake me up,
Yes.
but it's not actually to
Yes.
something imaginary or false. It's to what is the deepest, truest, realest
Yes. Yes.
part of me.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I don't remember and I need to wake up.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
in a
Yes.
sleep. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. 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 So thank you. Yeah. Those moments just can help us wake up to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And the fact that you see that and are open to that,
Mhm.
to see through that lens, I think is just very inspiring and encouraging and really meaningful and powerful in the world that we live in. Yeah. 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 Bringing heaven to earth.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's one of the gifts of the kind of section of the church, if you like, that I was formed in, that they
Yeah.
teach me to expect the presence of God.
Real.
And so
Okay.
that's still with me,
Wow. That's
and it's a
cool.
gift.
It really
Yeah,
is. Yeah. Because I thought about that a few times as you were talking.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool how that was formed in you and
yeah,
continues to be formative.
yeah,
That's really powerful.
yeah,
Yeah. Speaks to forming faith habits.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Can we end with some rapid fire questions?
Yes, I tried so hard not to pre-plan these because obviously I hear them on your part. I was
Yeah.
like, I am coming with nothing for this
That's
because I want
cool.
to answer
Yeah.
just really honestly.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's special. When do you remember God's presence from within your body?
When I turn my heart and my attention toward God in the morning.
How about the presence of Jesus? Is that the same, different for you?
They're the same in the way, like it still feels like connecting with God, but Jesus really, I really see Jesus as my teacher. So I think and because I'm an eternal student, I feel like whatever I'm
Mm,
learning
mhm.
from anyone or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
like Jesus is with
Wow.
me.
Yes.
And Jesus is always I have um, a a space in my imagination where I sometimes go in prayer, sometimes more than others. It's like there's a beach and there's a log and there's a cabin and there's a river, there's a garden, there's lots of places, but it's always Jesus I go It's always Jesus
Oh,
that's there when I go.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Jesus,
That's
yeah,
so
my
stunning.
teacher, my companion, my
Yes.
friend.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. What does faith mean to you?
It means possibility,
Hmm.
means hope. It means not knowing everything. It means showing up. It means community. It is like the center of my life, my faith.
Hmm. Yeah. If I was lectio divining that, like the word possibility just is really striking me right now in a really beautiful way. Like it's like, remember that. How do you hear from God? And what, may I ask, are you hearing right now?
I hear from God through other people, through nature, through the Bible, through poetry,
Mm.
from within my own body,
Yeah.
through observing moments that are ordinary, but it's like I pan out and see the sacredness. So I'll just maybe share one. The other day we were having this really ordinary conversation around the table, just family chat, and it was nothing particular was going on. We were talking about a cabin that we're going to go stay in February break. It was quite a happy conversation, but everyone was sort of we were chit chatting, and then I just for a second wasn't quite in the conversation because everybody, the kids were more talking to John, and it was like I was still there, I was fully engaged, but then I was also watching it, like, at the same
Yeah.
time and was able to
Yeah.
not literally from outside my body, I was completely in my body, but it was like I was seeing it on this other level of how just sacred life is and how much God is there and how much, like, we don't need to go anywhere for God, and God is in and through all things, and that
Wow.
means, if I'm chatting around the table or I'm somewhere in silence or I'm tired at work or I'm wondering what we're cooking for dinner, like, God is in all of that, and
Wow.
just the more we can bring in these rhythms and practices, and so
Yeah.
eventually our life is prayer, eventually, like and so
Yeah.
I think God is can't quite remember the question
Wow.
because I've gone off on a tangent. What was the question?
Yeah. Yeah. How you hear from God and what you're hearing right now.
So
Yeah.
what I'm hearing right now is just like, I'm here, like, God just like, I'm here, and I just and what that could mean for me, my family, my community, the world, and yeah, I'm
Wow.
hearing that, like, I'm here and you're loved and it's okay. When a lot of things don't feel okay, when I turn on the news or have certain conversations, I'm just remembering though ultimately it's all okay. Sort of Julian of Norwich, kind of, all shall be well kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's the necklace I'm wearing today. All is well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And lastly, I love to end with an invitation to healing, whether that be a small mindset shift or a physical practice. Anything to add a little life to our life. Is there anything that you would feel compelled to invite us into?
Should we maybe do a mini practice together? Just a little short one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just this, I'd love to show people how easy it is to kind of drop in a little bit more out of the kind of busyness of our mind and just
Yeah.
center in God. So maybe, and then you can bring anything you need from that place. So, should I maybe lead us in a really quick
I love that.
micro
Yeah.
practice? So, obviously, if you're listening to this and you're driving in your car, you could either pull over or just like earmark this for later. But wherever you are, if it's safe to do so, I just invite you to place your feet on the ground and give your toes a little wiggle, lift them up and place them down. And as you allow your feet to ground into the floor, you can imagine yourself just ground into God, just held and supported. Allow your shoulders to drop a little, soften the muscles in the jaw, lift a little through the crown of the head, and just begin to notice the breath. Breathing in through the nose, allowing the breath to travel down through the chest and the heart towards the tummy, and then reversing its way back out. And as you feel your breath in your body, the physical breath, just remember being sustained by the breath and the life of God in this moment and every moment.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
So welcome. I loved getting to
I, w-
talk to you. What a gift.
you are an extraordinary human.
I'm very ordinary. I don't know about extraordinary. Maybe that's what makes me extraordinary.
I sincerely, sincerely, I feel just humbled keeps coming to mind, like to just get to have this time and this conversation with such an extraordinary human. Yeah. I'm like I feel so small in such a big world, when you just have those moments and I got to have this conversation with you. I just am so grateful. And so I don't forget, where can we find you and your work and your lovely book?
So on social media, it's just the Prayer Orchard, which is the name of my online community, um, which I do want to say does have like it is a membership with a fee. But if anybody ever needed it, the space, and you don't have the money, then you can always come for free. There'd never be a problem with that, or little online retreats and things. And the book is Faith Habits and How to Form Them. You can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or all your kind of main ones you have over there in America. I'm imagining that's where most of the listeners are from.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was amazing to talk to
Yeah.
you.
Such a gift to be with you, Emma.
Yeah, you too. And I'll see you
Thank you.
soon. See you in the online
Yeah,
world soon.
sounds good. Yeah.